Good evening and welcome to Glasgow Middle School Back to School Night. My name is Mr. Wesley and I'm teaching U.S. History 7 to your child this year. Some background information about me. I grew up in Rochester, New York. This is my 20th year teaching and is my 10th year teaching at Glasgow Middle School. I was a software engineer before I became a teacher. Before that, I spent a little over 13 years in the U.S. Marine Corps as a communications officer. I've lived in or visited over 20 countries and nearly all 50 states. I have a lot of stories about my travels and experiences to share with the students. Here's a slide that I share with the students on the first day of school. It has some background information and interesting facts about me. My wife and I, we like to travel. It shows the map of where Rochester is. I have 3 children, son Lewis, so there's a picture of him and his family. My son Matthew got married this summer, daughter Stephanie, who's a doctor, and I have 2 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters. Some other pictures that are up there, my 9 brothers and sisters along with me with my father several years ago. An older picture of one set of my grandparents who were immigrants to the U.S., and we'll spend some time talking about family history and how that relates to U.S. history. And some other odds and ends photos, a picture of me down in the corner as a little kid. Now, what do I believe about how students learn best? Well, I believe that they learn best when they're present and engaged. Of course, they need to attend class and get there on time and be engaged in the learning. Make connections. I'll help them do that with some of the stories and my own personal experiences. I'll try to entertain the students, give them interesting assignments, videos, and discussions. And when they're challenged to try hard and do their best. To be successful, students will need to be prepared, to participate, to think with an open mind, and to try their best and ask for help when they need it. So what will the students be learning this year? We've already started and nearly finished the reconstruction unit. We'll go through the other units listed and we'll end up with globalization and where the United States is now and how it fits in with the world picture. Grading and assessments. We use formative assessments frequently, actually daily, and they're checks for understanding during the learning process. We'll also use summative assessments, and those are judgments about what content and skills the students have learned. We use other feedback, and you'll get feedback about how your student is doing, how they're organized and behaving in school, and you'll get that in the form of a report card as well as progress reports each quarter. Teacher support. I'm available on Blackboard 24/7, and at that location, you'll see my office hours, and I'm available online twice a week, Monday mornings and Thursday afternoons. You'll find a copy of the syllabus, contact information for me, which includes my email address, which you can see on the screen, and then the weekly grid. Google Classroom is where we place our assignments, and that's where we do most of our work. Of course, access to the grid to see what we've covered and what's coming up due, and a variety of online resources that the students will use. So, supporting your child, what's the best way to do that? Well, ask them questions like, what are you learning in class? And show me your grid. Let me see what you're working on. Homework, which would include the Monday asynchronous assignments in the Google Classroom. What assignments do you have to do? What do you need to complete them? Let's look at your grid together. Those are the kind of questions that will guide your student and encourage them to stay on top of things and do their best. Supplies. I've already shared with the students, it's always good to have pencils and pens handy. Their Glasgow Middle School agenda book so that they can keep track of their assignments and when they're due. A binder with loose leaf paper or a notebook, and the FCPS on computer if they were issued one through the school. Well, that wraps things up. We're looking forward to a wonderful year this year. It's going to be a great year. I know virtual learning has its challenges, but we'll meet them together and we'll do well. So thank you for your time this evening. I greatly appreciate it. And please keep in touch. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thanks again. Good night.